Hi, my name is Celeste Carter, and for my final project, I'll be reading one of my critical essays about how there are discrimination against illnesses in the HD narratives we learn with Call the Midwife and Octavia Butler's short story, and how Sammy Shock's article gives us insight on disability metaphors. Huntington's disease can affect not only the person who has it, but their loved ones and people around them. This disease attacks the nerve cells in the brain, causing cognitive and physical problems. Throughout this semester, we have learned and seen many different HD narratives in both fictional and non-fictional stories. By comparing Octavia Butler's short fictional story to Call the Midwife, we can see how the authors show discrimination against illnesses in both of these HD narratives. In Octavia Butler's The Evening, the author showed social discrimination towards the disease and how it was socially different. In Call the Midwife, we saw discrimination against gender identities and illness. This is important because it gives us insight on Sammy Shock's article on disability metaphors. In Octavia Butler's short story, The Evening and the Morning and the Night, we can see how Butler used a speculative disease to show how the comparisons between DGD and HD. This short story is narrated by a girl named Lynn Mortimer, who has the disease called Durier-Gold. DGD is a self-harming aggressive disease, and Lynn got it passed down by her parents. In the beginning of the story, Lynn shares the spine-chilling way how both of her parents passed away. After Lynn loses her parents, she goes on about life by going to college and starting a life of her own. She then meets a boy named Alan who also has DGD, and they end up falling in love, and the story goes on about them visiting his mother at a facility called Dilge, a haven for people like them. Just like any other disease, such as HD and many other diseases, DGD requires certain necessities such as a strict diet, which can cause social discrimination against someone. I didn't eat in public anymore. Didn't like the way people stared at my biscuits. Cleverly dubbed dog biscuits. Lynn Butler. This is an example of social discrimination because people like Lynn can't even eat in public without being stared at or watched because of the thing she eats because of her disease. We can see this in many other disabilities, especially HD. In Call the Midwife, the episode is about a woman named Doreen who is developing Huntington's disease. You can see in this episode how degrading and intense Huntington's disease really is and how it affects everyone around her. Her children are facing neglect due to the mother who can't provide and take care of them like she used to because of her disease. The episode ends up with her children being taken away because of the mother and the father simply can't take care of them anymore. We can see gender discrimination in this because it is normalized for a woman to take care of the family and household while the husband works. In this case, the wife is unable to take care of the kids and the household because of her disease. We can also see gender differences in the way the male doctor expressed the news straightforward. Mrs. Lunt simply isn't well enough to take care of them anymore. Dr. Turner called the midwife. Many illnesses and diseases are discriminated against because of the daily things one might not be able to do, like any other human being, and how people that don't understand the disease can judge quickly. Sammy Shock's article, Interpreting Disability Metaphor and Race in Octavia Butler's The Evening and the Morning and the Night, talks about Octavia Butler's short story. In Octavia Butler's short story, we see how there is a disability metaphor by how the illness in the short story, Durier-Gold, can demonstrate how ableism and anti-Black racism operate in parallel and overlapping ways. Sammy Shock goes on about disability metaphors and how there are many in Octavia Butler's short story. Shock goes on to talk about social discrimination that is represented in Octavia Butler's short story. Shock gives an example on social discrimination about how Lynn Mortimer, the narrator in the Evening and the Morning and the Night, can't eat in public without being looked at. This article gives a good description and representation of how illness and diseases are often discriminated against because of how someone with a certain illness acts and is treated amongst other individuals. In conclusion, there are many different HD narratives in different media we have learned in class. Both narratives showed many signs about discrimination amongst people with an illness or disease that can be compared to HD. This alters and compares segregation with people who struggle with illness and chronic disease rather than someone who does not have to struggle with an illness. In Octavia Butler's short story, we saw how there was social discrimination against Lynn because she isolated herself from the public because of the way she got looked at while eating her food due to her illness. To compare, we also see discrimination against gender roles and call the midwife because of the socially unacceptable roles that were placed in the household. By comparing the evening and the morning and the night and call the midwife, we can see discrimination against illness. Thank you.